Okay, so here we have a Honda RC51. Here's the tail section. This is what we're going to be working on a lot today. And yeah, so I cut these vents into the tail section, and the reason why will become apparent. I'm going to work on the seat unit also. That's how that comes off. So, yeah, I bought a cowl cover that just covers up where the rear passenger seat goes and provides some storage room. But I did not get the thing that attaches to the frame. Alright, so here's a little more close-up of these vents that I cut into the tail section. And here's why. That is the voltage regulator. And on Honda motorcycles, these guys have a tendency to get kind of hot and fail. So, we're trying to make a nice little ventilation system for it. And so we're using my technique of using plastic transparencies to make templates again. I use these a lot because they're cheap and quick. Well, nothing is quick. Everything takes time. So I got this piece of hardwood from a piece of furniture that I tore apart. That was just falling apart. I think it's either ash or poplar. Probably poplar. It's not super hard. So yeah, this is some rusty, I think it's like 16 gauge perforated steel. Had it forever. Alright, yeah. So this is my first time doing this kind of hammer forming. And I'm learning that maybe I didn't do it right. It's a lot of small spaces, trying to stretch metal into small spaces, it doesn't really work unless I don't know what would make that work. So let's make it one big space. Alright, so I made the cutout of that vent into a piece of masonite, and yeah, I screwed it all down onto a piece of hardboard, and now I'm working on forming it. So we'll see how it's going to look here in a minute. Okay, so out of the hammer form, and that's kind of what we got. It's proud about maybe 3/16 of an inch, and it seems to be in the right orientation that I wanted it. One of the things I did do, because the first time around I did it, I broke some of the connections at this tight little point here, and yeah, I didn't want to do that this time. That's one of the reasons why I wanted to do a larger piece. I think it would have been just more successful in general. So yeah, another thing that I did to kind of help allow this to stretch. I mean, this is mostly holes anyways. It's probably about the same ratio of holes to steel. But I did go around and tap metal on a dolly just around the perimeter to kind of try and stretch, give it a little bit of extra stretch to allow this metal to kind of sink into the hammer form. So I guess it's probably at that point where I need to cut out the extra and see if I can test fit it. Alright, futzed around with it a little bit more. Basically I was trying to get it so that it would be almost flush with the surface of the plastic. And that's what we call mo better. I'm probably crazy. Okay, so this is something different. It's the passenger seat pad. It's a complex thing. It's a casting of plastic and aluminum. It kind of meets into a lock. There's all sorts of things how this sort of integrates into the subframe of the motorcycle and the latches. So I used one of my few remaining coat hangers to kind of create a wire form of that profile so that I could test kind of what height everything is supposed to work at, and it clicked right into place one-dimensionally. So then I made it out of cardboard, got some CAD going, and then I made it three-dimensional with a hot glue gun, and kind of got the right height and profile I needed. And then I have a sheet of like 20 gauge steel I've had for a while, and I just kind of knocked out all these patterns and tied everything together with, honestly, it was an old bucket handle from a Home Depot bucket, because I'm running out of coat hangers. And it's a little bit bigger gauge rod. But yeah, one of the welds, plug welds, did not quite grab. But otherwise, it's pretty beefy. I did a little backing plate for the seat latch thing in the center and plug welded all that pretty solidly. But see, yeah, it's kind of like a loose one right there. The others are pretty good, but I figure, you know, in for a penny, in for a pound, might as well kind of zap them all again on the inside just to make them solid. I love this third hand thing that I made, a welder's help or whatever. It's just so easy to clamp a negative electrode to it, and just makes MIG welding super easy. And so here we are. I went and painted the bracket assembly, and got that all nice and shiny, just to keep everything from rusting. Oh, I'm pretty impressed with it. It's very lightweight, and it actually fits quite precisely, which is more important. Kind of pops together into the bosses of the plastic bosses for the cowl lid. Yeah, I am insane. All right, and time to paint this plastic that doesn't match, and also the cowl. I don't like the black. I've been figuring out a different paint scheme for it, and I wanted to do a white base, and I think it's going to allow those vents to contrast nicely with it. It's a little snug putting it in, but God, it's just fits perfectly now. I love the sound of it when it just clicks in. Okay, so yeah, this is the drive side of the Fiat drive shaft, so it slips into the CV joint on the transmission side. And these are the little bearings that take the drive force and allow articulation and sliding in and out. And on this one, this is one of the Honda ones that I have replaced these with. So I'll just show you, hopefully, how I can do this. Alright, these little tiny little snap rings in here. I did get this one started. Spring, a little tapered collar deal, and Pull out the race. And we have lots of little needle bearings and oil. Looks good. Just kind of dry some of this excess oil on the paper towel. And gather up these guys because I don't need them anymore. If anybody else needs CV joint needle bearings for a Fiat on the transmission side, let me know. Alright, so yeah, on the bottom of the bearing area there's a little end ring. I guess that's just to keep the needle bearings from rubbing up against the drive side. Alright. Oh, and the process of doing these modifications, once you figure it out, you have to do it many more multiple times. So I made 6 more of these little shim rings, and they fit nice and tight on there. And the assembly process is to take the Honda bearing side, press them in on that side, very tight interference fit, which is part of the reason I also have this little rubber mallet. There, get past that, and once it's on it'll just pop off super easy, but it's super nice and tight. And then the little funnel keeper, that doesn't do anything. So you just take the little snap ring, just pop it back in, and that's it. Now I just got to do some more. Alright, I was going to show you the disassembly of the other axle, little tripod side that goes into the transmission. And it turned into one of these, I don't know if you remember that old song, "One of these things is not like the other. Which one of these is not the same?" Yeah, so this was kind of a messy waste of my time, but I'll explain it at the end of this. Ah, that grease is kind of crappy. So, poop. Yeah, it appears that this drive shaft, the other one, the long one, was a budget drive shaft. Probably made in the land of China. And that's okay, that's fine. I'm sure it was actually a functional, useful thing. But, yeah, I was going to show you how these little planetary bearings fit into the CV cup that goes into the transmission, and they don't even fit in this. It's like proprietary with these smaller bearings that came on the assembly. Anyway, apparently I need to go and find another Honda Fit drive shaft that I can disassemble for its bearings. And that's alright, it's not a big deal. That's just how it goes. So, yeah, went to the junkyard and got another Honda Fit drive shaft that had the proper bearings in it. And so now I have two sets of these that I can adapt to make the Fiat drive shafts work with the Honda Fit transmission. One of the things I'm thinking about, I made these like little shim collars out of, these are like mild steel. And the only thing kind of in the back of my brain is the hardness of them. Because they're going to be, you know, force is going to be pushed through them. And I don't know if, because mild steel is more malleable than like a hardened steel, like a bearing surface, if that is going to cause issues through time of the shims starting to deform under load forces, point loads, and maybe causing things to bind up a little bit. So I was like looking around to see what other harder metals I have. And I have a piece of stainless steel here. It's the same gauge thickness. And I was thinking about making more of these collars out of stainless, which is harder, you know, and everything is going to be lubricated in here, of course. Everything is, you know, there's going to be like a film of lubrication still between everything, so there shouldn't be any galling issues with the stainless. But yeah, this might just survive longer over time. But really, how long is this going to last? I mean, I guess if it works, if everything works, maybe I'll just run them as long as possible before having custom drive shafts made. And I guess at that point I would have the Honda, have like a Honda spline made on the end of the shaft for this little Honda end that fits in all there. Well, whatever. Anyway, so that's that for now. Yeah, one of the things that I was waiting on, I just arrived today, is this little thing. It's a tap, and it's actually a plumbing tap, but it has found a use on this build. So let me show you what I'm going to do with this little guy. All right, cleared off a little flat spot space for the radiator. Okay, so yeah, this is the radiator that I'm going to be using, hopefully using, for the Fiat Honda Fit hybrid. Got a fan, and yeah, okay, so yeah, this is the inlet, and this is the outlet, and I was talking earlier about that it needed to make like a right turn, a 90-degree turn, and then come kind of back this direction so that it could feed into the car. So I got some 90-degree aluminum, and that's going to sleeve in there, and I will solder, braze, weld this sucker in there at the appropriate height. So it'll probably, you know, still be fitting pretty tight behind this with enough space to put like a little shroud in between it. But yeah, so you get the idea. Anyway, one of the things about this radiator, there was a little drain at the bottom right here, and so let's see, yeah, and there was like this little threaded plug, steel, that was in there like that. One of the things I needed was some place to put a temperature sensor, and I didn't want to go through the bother of trying to add more stuff to this. And this little feller is the Honda Fiat coolant temperature sensor. Let's turn up the brightness on this a little bit. There we go. Anyway, yeah, so I was like, oh, well, maybe if I was lucky, I could just screw this in. No, that doesn't fit. The threads are way too small and metric, as it turns out. So, and this is Imperial / SA pipe thread, which is what this tap was for. This is a 1/4 inch by 18 threads per inch national pipe thread tap. And I was like, okay, so I was looking, because I saw this was a pipe thread, I looked in my plumbing bits for household plumbing, and I found this little brass adapter, and this is 1/4 inch 18 pipe thread also. So what I did was it had been threaded for some other small fitting to go into it, and what I did was I just I found the metric tap for this, and threaded it, just tapped it out so that it could work with this. The only issue I ran into, and this is the reason why I need this tap, was when this kind of screws in, it doesn't screw in very far. And it's a tapered thread, so that as you screw it in, it seals tighter and prevents any liquid from coming out. Essentially, I need to take this tapered thread and just thread it in further to widen the threading in this, so that I can sink this in, and then this will be a dual purpose coolant temperature sensor / drain plug. So yeah, dual purposing everything. So let's get busy with that. Well, it took a couple of careful attempts to get this enlarged enough. I didn't want to go too crazy, but this little brass nipple is now seated almost essentially right up to the base of the boss, and the Honda Fit engine temperature sensor screws in nicely to there, so yay. Gonna call it a win on that. So, yeah. So yeah, I did some work on a motorcycle, but that was also to learn about how to do other work on these cars, because I want to make some neat little vents using some mesh for the Fiat and the Lancia. So, lessons learned. This stuff it's weird to work with because yeah, I mean in a lot of ways it's easier, but in other ways it's more difficult because I don't think you could shrink or stretch this like you could just regular sheet metal. Maybe you can, but I think it would start to definitely create some weird deformation patterns in the mesh. So, anywho, I'm going to leave it there. Yeah, every day is a learning day. Anyway, thanks for joining me. I hope everyone is doing well. Everything's going to be all right. Sounds like things are getting more interesting, but just keep your wits about you. Try not to get too wrapped up in the doom and gloom of stuff. If you can, do something positive with your time. Like go to a march. I did not go to a march yesterday. But I was there in spirit. I don't know. Anyway, we're going to get through all this. And hopefully we don't devolve into more idiocy, like fighting people we don't need to fight. So, I imagine you understand where I'm coming from on all this. Anyway, I hope you are going to take care of yourself, and if you can, take care of someone else too. It's important that we're there for each other and for ourselves. So anyway, I love you guys, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.